To help us line up these screws so that they sit flush, we can first drill a pilot hole. And now our screws will sit flush. To properly wrap Teflon tape, we'll first lay it almost vertically from bottom to top, then wrap downwards in a spiral motion. To make sure these cabinet hinges are installed properly, we'll first need to make a template. Using a piece of scrap wood, mark out the hinge and the holes. Push in 2 nails along the hinge line. Then mark out where the screws will go and drill the holes. Now we'll install the hinges. Everything lines up. We can make our own DIY garden auger for digging holes. We'll make 2 incisions on both sides of this diamond cutting wheel and attach it to the drill. Next, we'll make a brick texture roller. Start by cutting out foam rings and strips. Place them onto the roller brush and glue the strips on like so. Now we'll add some spackle to the wall and cover it with plastic wrap. Use the brush to roll out the brick texture. Sanding between gaps can be very tedious. We can add some duct tape to give the sandpaper some extra support. It's dangerous to use a planer or table saw without a push stick. We can make one using this paintbrush. Remove the bristles and cut out a notch in the handle. Now our fingers are safe. Let's add tape to the edge of our paint bucket. Keep our brush from dripping. This next project is making a rubber strap wrench. We want to drill a hole through this nut and then cut out notches on both sides. We'll insert the rubber strap like so, and then secure it with a bolt, tightening a nut on the other side. Now we can tighten the strap using the ratchet to loosen this oil filter. To fit these 2 pipes together, we can use a swaging drill bit. Using an angle grinder creates a lot of dust. A bit of double-sided tape will capture some of the dust and protect the shield. When finished, simply throw the tape away. Some screws just don't seem to want to hold on to the drill bit like we want them to. Luckily, we can use some double-sided tape once again to help us out. Add the tape to the drill bit and press the screw onto the tape. This knife is clearly dull. We can create a knife sharpening stand by drilling 2 holes into our stand and inserting the 2 stones. For our last project, we'll be creating an articulating arm that allows us to make straight marks across oddly shaped objects. We'll start by first drilling holes into each of the pieces of wood like so. Then we'll sand off the corners and edges of each piece. Next, we'll add bolts, washers, and nuts to each articulating joint and tighten. And the next piece will be screwed in perpendicularly. We'll screw in a smaller piece to the other end as well. Now we can mark straight lines, both on flat boards and even on the inside of this container. To cut this floorboard at the correct angle, Measure the length to the wall, and then mark that length on the top edge, and connect that point to the bottom corner. We can use this old soda can to create a DIY hot glue gun. We'll cut off the ends of the can, and then wrap the can into the shape of a cone. Next, we'll tape a lighter near the tip and place a glue stick or some plastic inside. Ignite the lighter to melt some of the plastic inside the tip and press it out onto the surface that you need to glue. Our next project will be a table with collapsible legs made of PVC pipe. Onto the bottom of the table, we'll screw in some clips for the legs. Then we'll install these pipe fittings to the corners. This is how we'll attach the legs to the table. This board will make a suitable standing block. We'll cut the board in half, and then one half will be cut into 3 strips. The 2 thinner strips will be mounted onto each end of the larger block. Now we'll wrap sanding paper around the block and hammer in our last piece onto the top of the sandpaper. Our sanding block holds our sandpaper nicely. We need to fasten this wire along this pipe. We'll use 2 zip ties, one around both the wire and the pipe, and one around the first zip tie. Then we'll cut off any excess plastic. We want to better organize these cords. We'll slice this foam tubing in half. Now we'll mount it to the shelf. Pass the cords through the tubing. Then, we can wrap zip ties around the end to better secure it. Sanding baseboards can be tricky. We can use a deck of cards to trace the shape of our baseboards for our sandpaper. We can use a stapler to strip off the plastic from these wires. Here are 4 different ways to attach wires to terminals. The first one is a hook. The second one is a loop. The third one uses a connector. And the last one is an S shape. If we wrap some tape around the socket, we can pull the tape to unscrew this nut. Now let's make a tool to help us strip off plastic from our wires. We'll mount a hinge onto these 2 pieces so that they close together. Then we'll drill 2 holes through both boards like so. We can place a wire in between the 2 boards and pass the wires through to strip the plastic off them. We need to remove a large section of this board to create a mortise. First, we'll mark out the sections that we want to remove. And then we'll make multiple cuts into our cutout section. We'll use a chisel to remove the chips. We could use a chisel to smooth out the bottom edge, or we can use this hole saw drill bit. And as a nice change of pace from our usual programming, we're going to demonstrate how to ground wire. This is a joke, guys. Do not try this at home.